There's this thing that really interests me, and it seems to interest you as well. At least that's how it sounds to me, and that's articulation.
Yes.
And phrasing. I'm wondering what is important to you right now and what you're striving for in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're dead on. I feel like that is maybe the thing that I care about the most, actually, which feels a little sad when I say it out loud. But yeah, articulation is the main thing, and phrasing and dynamics, like I guess all of the kind of building blocks of music, melody and shape and all those things. I feel like those are the main things, and I feel like you kind of have this really long road of starting with those things and being aware of them and then not caring about them at all and going to as complicated as a concept as you can kind of understand or kind of execute on your instrument. And then eventually you come back and realize that those things are just kind of not important, and it's all about the fundamentals of music.
Yeah. What are you working on now in terms of articulation? And how are you working on it?
Well, for me, I use I use an embouchure that's not very common for saxophone players. So normally, saxophone embouchure is teeth on top, and then you roll your lip underneath. I don't know what I'm doing here, making a claw, but you can see what I mean.
Yeah.
But mine is called a double lip embouchure. So you basically roll your lip, so it's two lips on it instead of teeth in the lip. So early on, it creates a different sound. It has like a whole different thing that it provides for you in terms of sound and flexibility, but the drawbacks are fatigue and then power, like volume, also certain intervals. I feel like things that when I did learn how to play with a traditional embouchure were a little bit more accessible to me than with this embouchure. But anyway, it's just something I've been doing for a long time. But one of the big things that it does not have in it is clarity. And I was realizing this somewhere in my early 20s, like college, late teens, early 20s, and trying to figure out a way to make it sound the way that I wanted to without having to sacrifice the embouchure, because there were things that I did like about it that had more of a unique sound to it. And articulation became the thing that I had to focus on. And that was kind of the thing that bridged the gap. So like where a lot of saxophonists will slur a lot of things or kind of tongue occasionally, I'm kind of articulating every note, but doing it in a way where I'm trying to do it very subtly so that it sounds like you're doing the other thing, but you're still giving each note that weight and having a little space between them. And then getting that at different tempos. And then you start to realize that the more you focus on it, there are also other things that you can kind of do with it. So like different ways you can put your tongue or different ways you can leave your tongue on the mouthpiece but still articulate without moving it. So it's almost like muting a guitar string and getting all those different sounds. And then you start to realize, oh, this kind of sounds like that. What other things do they do? What can I do to imitate? So just really getting inside of that. So what do I do now? I'm always working on that. The thing that I find is that kind of if I work on it, it kind of trickles down and lasts, or it kind of covers all the bases, is working on it at tempo. So a lot of times I'm just kind of, it might sound like I'm just kind of playing fast stuff or whatever, but I'm really focusing on the articulation. The notes or whatever I'm playing is not important. It's the articulation that I'm trying to get together. The faster, the better.
But the articulation also gives you other notes or other note choices, because if you think about that first, then it doesn't lead you to familiar things, maybe.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the side effect. You start breaking habits because you're focusing on something different, and then even finding ways of playing things that are familiar but with different accents. So like when you say phrases and you say them and they sound really weird, like I'm going to the store, or I'm going to the store, I'm going to the store, like those kind of things, and messing around with how that changes what something would sound like. Yeah.
And with this record, where are we in the timeline of that? Like, who introduced you to that other embouchure thing? And where, is how apparent is this here in your playing?
Well, that's a good question. So I started this way. I started on first grade, so at age 6 on clarinet, and then I switched to saxophone at age 7. And the embouchure for clarinet, some people teach it that way, so that was kind of how I started. And I just moved it over to saxophone, and no one ever said anything until I got to college. Somebody was like, "Hey, are you doing this other embouchure?" And that's when I kind of really became aware of it, and that's when I started realizing the differences, and like I learned the other one and all that. That record is kind of, I think, let's say 23 years old on that, maybe something like that. So it's right around the time where I had kind of just come off of the first wave of like, okay, now I've got it together where I have like the ability to play a little bit. But if I listen to that record right now, I will notice, I'm sure, all the time things that bothered me at that time, that I was uneven, or I wasn't in control of the time because of not being able to really pull off the articulation and all that kind of stuff. Those are the things that I noticed the most. I try not to judge like the playing part of it, but that articulation it's
Sure.
just barely getting started there.
Yeah, it's like I love your playing on all of these records, but it's like I listened to that again and I hadn't listened to it for a long time, and also live in Paris. And I was like, there's something that's different about your sound there. And I'm not a saxophone player, and I don't know anything about the instruments, so I couldn't put my finger on it, what it was, but it's like, but I knew it was somehow connected to maybe the articulation topic. So it's interesting to get your perspective on it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. What do you do for articulation?
It's a lot of arm weight and trying to control the natural weight of the arm, and when you kind of lean in heavier, and when you're like a little bit more light.
Got you.
That's something. And then I also think about like not just the notes, but the rhythmic shape of it, and what I want to bring out, and what I want to be heard, and what I don't. What is like, which notes are with, or which rhythms are serving other more important things,
Yeah.
or things that I would like to emphasize. And whereas when I also listen to my recordings, also from that time, I think I also started doing my own records like around that time. It all sounds to me like very, like almost the same, like as if I didn't care about that topic at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Maybe also because I was dealing with other topics. Like this wasn't maybe in my I couldn't grasp that topic yet, I think.
Yeah, wasn't time yet. I know what you mean.
And how is it now if you talk to other saxophone players, how can you, when you ask them what they do, how can you translate that to that embouchure that you're using?
Well, I think it translates pretty well if you understand from this side. I think telling something from this side to somebody that doesn't do it, it doesn't really translate well. It's like a different technique, if that makes sense. So I'm able to steal all this stuff, but I can't really share anything, which works for me.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's set up well for me.
Yeah. Who would I know who also uses that embouchure?
Not a lot of people. I think Blanchard uses it. There are a couple people, but it's really not many people. And a lot of people mess around with it sometimes for practicing because it does work a different muscle. But rarely do they kind of stick with it when they're playing. It's funny because we just played somewhere 2 nights ago, and the owner of the venue was a saxophone player. And when we were doing the sound check and I was warming up, and he just happened to like walk over, he's like, "Hey, are you doing a double lip embouchure?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I was wondering why it sounded like that." And then he laughed, and I was like, "Well, is that a good or a bad?"
Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah. I knew something was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Greetings. My name is Sam Amadon, and you are experiencing the Pablo Held Investigates podcast. And I am experiencing the Pablo Held Investigates podcast as I do every week. It's such a beautiful thing to be able to go so deep with Pablo and the musicians he talks to. I go back and forth between the conversation, and I'll pause and go to listen to the musical examples, and then I'll return to the conversation. It's profoundly beautiful and enriching. And if you connect with this podcast as much as I do, I highly recommend that you support Pablo on Patreon, because it keeps the podcast going and it provides a whole backdrop to a whole other dimension of the investigation. There's two tiers. There's a general listening podcast supporting tier, which has background materials and other stuff around reflections on Pablo's listening. And then there is a more of a practicing instrument lesson type tier, which is even deeper and more specific. I hope you support it and check it out, because these are the kinds of things that keep the world turning at this time in our universe. See you out there in the investigation zone with Pablo.
How is your feeling towards that last two gigs that you did? It leaves some trace, and it's still working when we finish playing and then we drive home and all of that, but it's still somehow resonating.
Yeah. I think they usually last longer for me I try not to be critical about them anymore. I'm not someone, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't like record every gig. But every now and then I'll record something and listen to it all the way through. Less, again, thinking about like, what am I doing? But just what does this set feel like to listen to? Because I know how it feels to play. Or what is this song actually, how does it come across? How am I, like treating the melody or whatever, all those kind of things. So those are the things that I'll focus on. And I did record something in the last week, and I listened back to it, and it's usually better than I felt it was. Yeah. But the things that stick with you. Oh, that intro I was doing, I feel like I got hung up in this little spot, and that's something that today when I was practicing, I was actually thining about an intro from 3 days ago, that there was literally like a spot, there was an idea that I was trying to kind of do, and I had a train of thought that just was not like connecting to what I was actually playing. And just working on that exact idea and trying to stick with it. I think remembering. It's not anything complicated. That's the sad part about it. It was kind of like the intro was on this tune, Little Melonae. Do you know that tune? So I love that trying. One. It's a cool one, but I was trying to do something with the like that phrase, but I was moving it around and then trying to drop like a bass note that was related to the next kind of shape that I was doing. But when I was going for bass notes, it was kind of like breaking the flow of it. Like I wasn't able to keep that particular shape going and have something else happen with it. So it was just like something that I don't think I've practiced before. With that particular shape and that number of notes descending twice and then trying to put something else alongside of it. So it was just, I don't ever like plan like an intro or something like that, but when you come across a shape that is not in your normal thing, I hadn't played that tune in forever, so it kind of just happened. It really had me like, okay, I just gotta leave this for now, and I will definitely put some work in on it.
Yeah. It's interesting with that song. I feel like that's the something that really sounds like, to me, really sounds like Jackie McLean. But the first part of the melody, not so much. At least for my understanding of or what I associate with Jackie McLean.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's how funny. You feel about it?
Well, that was the first thing that I learned of his. However long ago. So it just felt like that was the starting point for me.
Yeah.
So again, lucky for me, I started at the right place.
It's such a great tune. Also, the mirror thing of the harmony in the bridge, I love.
Wait, the mirror of the harmony. What do you mean?
Doesn't it go like A half diminished D7 G minor?
Mm-hmm.
and then G minor, A half diminished, D7.
You know what's funny is, so we were having that conversation the other day because we were just playing a trio, and the bass player was Vicente Archer, and he, after the set, he was like, "Yeah, I was gonna wait and see where you went in that spot." But he's like, but then you didn't play because on the melody, you kind of leave it open. And
Yeah.
maybe I left it open the first couple of times just to see what would happen.
Yeah.
And then it never happened. I always thought it was just the same. I guess that was what I was told when I learned the tune, that it was just the same as like Alone Together or Night Tunisia Bridge, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe I have it wrong in my head. I don't know.
I would think you have it right and I have it wrong. I trust you more.
I don't know. Okay. After this, we'll find out.
Okay. We'll have a showdown. We'll see who's right.
Yeah. I often record, not always listen to it, but often record. And I listened back to our gig, actually, that we did in Siena. Just today also.
Nice. How was it?
It was fun. But I could hear myself being very excited. I could hear myself like just playing too much and being like overexcited and being like, we're playing. It's the usual thing that happens. Like
well, that's also because of I think to some degree we all have that in those scenarios where you're around so many musicians and you're kind of working with the students the whole time, and then when you do finally get a chance to play, it's like, let's do it.
We've been talking the whole day.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're about to play. Yeah. And then it was all new music. I mean, we played some standards where we played your song, which was kind of challenging. I mean, I want to ask you about that song again. Seesaw. Like, how did you write it?
Man, the way that I write most things, just picking one thing and then sticking with it. So like no development beyond the idea, not looking for it to go to some other section or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all that is. It's just the same thing over and over.
There's a lot of variation in there. Come on.
Yeah,
I mean,
you try to add variation.
Yeah.
But it's the development of that one idea, which, if we had this conversation, 2 years ago when I wrote it, I would be a lot more excited to tell you the cool things that I thought about when I was writing it. And now I'm on the other end where I don't ever want to play it again. So
you played it too much?
Yes. I think I've found, no matter how far I've come as a writer, and like I can see the moments where I make progress and whatever, it just still doesn't lead to repeated playability. Like I feel like they have about 5 or 6 months of like playing within them, and somewhere around the middle of the second week I've kind of already gotten to the best that I'll ever be on it, and then it just is kind of like, okay, let me just try everything I can think of, and because there's not a lot there, by the end of 6 months I'm like, never again.
Yeah, but then there are pieces which you can play forever.
Yes.
And also, what you just described doesn't. I think that happens, but it doesn't say that this is a bad tune or anything. I mean, this is a great tune, but some tunes lend themselves maybe more easier to, we still play All the Things You Are, or there's probably songs that you play live from your first record still, right? I mean, which you like to go back to.
Yeah, there are some. That's true. Yes, we were just talking about that, and it's weird this week when we were playing, like, why is it that on this song, which is in the same key and almost the same changes, you can play it every night and have a million ideas, but this one that's just slightly different, it doesn't really. Yeah. So, it's pretty. I got to find a way to that, to those good ones.
What did you arrive at? Which thought? Like, why is that?
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's something about when you learn it in your growth process, what things you happen to be working on in the moment when you work on something, like that song in particular we're talking about, Seesaw, I felt like, and maybe this happens to you also, like when I was writing it, when I kind of write with the piano and then on paper, and then eventually I move it to Logic, and then that's when I kind of bring the saxophone in and I start to see, oh, do I need to move it to another key? Do I need to move it up or whatever? Elongate, you get a little bit more sense of the phrasing. But when I had it in Logic, I was really excited about it. I was like, man, I feel like I'm going to be able, this is one that I'll be able to play forever. And then, then like actually playing it, it just kind of felt like, I don't know. It doesn't have that same thing. And I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why.
Yeah. I love that song.
Well, thank you.
What about Ace? I did this sheet of Ace, and I'm really not sure if the thing is, like, with that song, it's, I transcribed it and it was like, you seem to play the melody different each time you play it. Each time round you play it differently. There's certain things that are more or less the same maybe, but it's, I'm really curious what is on your sheet. You know, what actually is on your sheet. And after a while of looping that, looping the form, I was like, maybe my first bar isn't the first bar of the tune, because there could be different points that sometimes we hear songs and the musicians start on the second to last bar, you know. But the way we hear it is like it sounds like a first bar. So does it start with the D flat major 6? That's
does.
where it starts. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I can sleep again.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think that one is just so simple that it's one that I do feel like I can play a lot.
Yeah.
Because the melody, I don't always even play it, you know, just like a piece of it here and there, to your point, exactly what you said. And I feel like that kind of, so what I find a lot is that when I write something, I can't have that freedom to approach it the way I would with, like you said, All Things You Are, one of those tunes where you just play it however I want, you know, that kind of thing. It ends up being a little more precious than how I would like it to be, but certain ones like that allow for it. Something about the tempo, the fact that it has the other stuff happening, the kind of the character of it. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll play for you the melody that I have on my sheet, and then you tell me if I'm missing something, because that's what I was, you know. So I have.
Yep. Well, there is a C. I mean, before that, yeah.
So, because I sometimes heard, or like even more than that. So I was like, so what is it? Is that okay? There's a C, like this. Okay, and then, and then, is it a quarter note?
Yep.
And then, eighth note. Okay.
Yep. And it should go to an F on the top. But I think when we first, instead of the C.
Or down. Really?
I'm sorry, to an A flat.
A flat. That's what you do on the record, yeah.
But I think when we recorded it the first time, Joel, because I had both notes written, he kept going to the C every time. And then somehow in my mind, that just became the melody. So now that's probably what I play every time we play it.
Yeah. It's a beautiful song, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun. You know, I thought that one was another one that kind of I was done with, and then we started playing it with Bill Stewart's trio. And we play it for so long, like in that one, and it gets so soft. Like it might be like 12 minutes long, and it just keeps getting softer and softer and softer. It's pretty
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, like the way Larry plays it, and Bill plays like a different thing behind it too. So it just kind of, it was cool to see that it could work as a trio tune too, even
Yeah.
though it doesn't have like the main thing that I kind of associated with it.
Yeah. The harmony.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Were you inspired by another song that was on your mind? Sometimes we have that when we write, that we just come off like a listening phase of something that we have on repeat, and then now I feel inspired, not to copy
Right.
something, but like sometimes tunes carry that inspiration with them.
Yeah. That one was, like I try to write from like a writing prompt for everything, just like picking an idea and using that as the starting point. And sometimes it's a technical thing, sometimes a musical thing, sometimes it's something, characters or a movie, whatever. And that one, I was doing a tour with Jason Moran's Monk project, the town hall thing. And it was, I think we did about maybe 10 days in the States, and then we did maybe 2 or 3 weeks in Europe with it.
Yeah.
And when I hadn't toured with him other than just doing like spot dates, and usually like the one-offs were connected to a venue that uses a specific hotel. But on the tour stuff, it was cool because he selects the hotels in every city, and he's like very fashion forward art. He's like well versed in all that, and he was like picking these hotels that all had this kind of like weird character. So I knew we were doing that album, and I decided rather than writing, I would just write something in each hotel based on like whatever the feel of it was. And there were a couple that came out pretty like, just trying to capture that character of it, and some of them came out pretty good. That one was written, we were in LA at the Ace Hotel, which is like one of those kind of hipstery ones. Everybody's in the lobby eating pancakes with headphones on and a MacBook, and skateboards and all that shit. So it just kind of like, while I was sitting there, it kind of just happened in that way. But all the songs ended up feeling like they were actually representative of the place. Just some of the places weren't as cool as others.
There was another song that I tried to transcribe, but then I gave up, which was A Brief Madness.
Oh, yeah. Why would you try to write
I like it.
Yeah.
So I think you don't start at the beginning, you start at the middle of that phrase, but right? I mean, it's...
We start at the very end of it. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, and then then you go into this improvisation, and then you reintroduce the melody again, but like in a mad way. So first time I listened to it, I was like, wow, they're so together. What are they doing?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, it's just so connected. Like there's this moment on the Footprints live record. Maybe you know which. There's a moment on Atlantis when Danilo and Wayne all of a sudden play, and it's not written because I know the original.
Yeah.
But they play something very fast together, and it's almost the same notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can still tap into the feeling when my friend showed it to me in his student apartment, after the record came out, and was like, I can't believe how they play together, and especially that moment. I was like, what is happening? I can't, so that moment still stays with me. And that moment on your record reminded me a little bit like in what it did to me in that moment. So I was like, what are they doing? Then I listened to a couple of times, and I was like, okay, this is, he wrote something there. There's a song.
Yeah.
So I was interested and tried to get it together, but I couldn't. So it's like, well done.
Yeah.
A Brief Madness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me about that song.
Yeah, so it's just just like a lot of notes,
Mm-hmm.
with the intention of it just being a lot of notes, and yeah, it's just supposed to be totally open, and eventually we kind of go into it. Um, and so recording it with Jason, he's pretty like intuitive. Like when you stop and start, or you push faster or slower, he's like almost like he's right
He's
there
with you.
with you
Yeah.
at all times. And then also, I that's one of my goals when I'm playing, is to try to listen as much as possible, even though, you know, saying that and you just listened to the recording of that concert, maybe it wouldn't have been evident, because I was so excited to play. But
No,
that
no, I
is
felt it.
that's
I felt
usually
it.
what I'm trying to do. And
Yeah, yeah,
then,
yeah.
so like when we're playing it, I think on the recording there was a part where we arrived at one part of the melody, like, and it's supposed to keep going, but it felt like he was going to stop. And then we just stopped and then started improvising again. And then it just became like an open section within the middle of like just 4 or 5 pages of notes. And then we kind of just picked back up from there.
Yeah. So these 5 pages of notes, are these all eighth notes?
Mostly. Yeah.
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 Because it also speeds up and it seems
Hmm.
like, but I was wondering like what is actually on the page. That was my question. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I'll send it to you. It's just nothing but eighth notes. I
yeah,
believe there are a couple of triplets, but
yeah,
mostly eighth notes. And,
yeah,
yeah, but just played loosely.
yeah.
We played it a couple times live, and we started finishing it and going into that song, which is kind of like a vamp 610 loop. It kind
Hmm.
of just kind of goes. We would like finish and land in that, and Jason would just switch in, and it always had a pretty cool like landing point. But it would be so doing it live it felt very risky because it was just so many notes
Yeah,
to kind of keep track of. And then when you can't really hear all the time, you know how it could be in certain venues, uh, it's there's a chance that it just turns into a bunch of like randomness. But ending
mm,
on that vamp saves it no matter what's happening.
yeah. You have a point
The safety net.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
When you okay, so when you have a recording session, maybe we can take the latest album as an example. Like you have that date in your calendar, and you thought about the people. What happens in the months leading up to that? What happened on this record?
The one with Moran.
No, this one, the
Oh, the
trio.
trio. Oh, okay. I see. Yes. Oh man, this guy, you've got all of them. Let's see. It
Is that
must
the
be.
Sonny Rollins book behind you?
It is. Are you looking at
Yeah,
my background? How dare you?
yeah,
Yeah, Sonny is back there. Oh, let's
yeah.
see.
I'm guessing it's this one. So for every record, just starting a book like this,
Mm,
and I think, as you said, the first thing is writing down who's going to play. What is the starting point? What's the personnel? And then from there, just brainstorming. So this one is not as cool as what the other books would be because I'm not writing the music for it. So the
mhm,
brainstorming is about like different songs and different tempos and maybe ideas of how to treat them, like
mm,
as I look at it. But it starts with kind of thinking about who the people are. Um, in this case, this is a volume 2 of something that I've already done. So like, what can I do what carries over that made sense in the last one? And then
mm,
what should we do differently? What studio, what kind of, just looking through here, some of the things, titles usually start brainstorming that kind of stuff. What songs? But like, I wrote down
Do
what
you
I
want to
have here.
show one page or something,
Sure.
just to see how you put it together?
Yeah, so this is the first page of like choosing songs. So like I just
Yeah,
looked at the end of it. So there's not a lot written there, but there are
yeah.
35 songs that we recorded. So just
Oh
making a
wow,
list of the songs with maybe tempo markings, maybe
nice.
which bass player would play, all that kind of stuff. Um, you know, there. like maybe these ones for Joe, these for Ron, tempos. I'm showing you this,
Interesting.
but then I'm not sure what other stuff I may have written that is
Yeah,
not
yeah,
for public consumption. You never know. Early title here. TWIO 2, Ot of the TWIO, as in the Brad thing. Yeah, that didn't stick. But yeah, it's just, like brainstorming all the ideas, because I found that, especially when you're writing the music for an album, whatever the initial reaction is to the people and the time and whatever's happening, those are your best ideas. And it's like the purest thing of what you want to do with that group of people before you start to overthink it and before you start to get nervous about it because it's getting closer and the music is not all done, that kind of thing. So that has kind of served me well as far as just like organizational stuff leading towards the album. So for that one, it was mainly like choosing the songs, trying to pick stuff that was not too obscure, but also not all the things you are.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the starting point.
Have you ever written down a personnel and then someone couldn't make it, and then you had to?
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's almost like the way you write it down, and then it's like it has to be that person. Like
it does. So
destiny.
But by the time I write it, I also have like checked in with people. So when I get here, it's like confirmed.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because if I wrote someone's name there and then they couldn't make it, I would just have to cancel the whole thing.
Or burn the book.
Yeah, both. Erase the evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never recorded an album where there was a different rhythm section for different tracks. So that's something that feels a bit foreign to me.
Yeah.
And so I want to know what your thought process. I mean, there are obvious reasons why you would maybe ask someone like Ron for certain tunes, but then Joe would also be great at playing those songs.
Of course.
And so I'm interested in your thought process.
Well, I think obviously, like for instance, like Fall, I wanted to do with Ron, but we also could have done it with Joe, and it would have been cool. But it has it like falls squarely into this thing. Like it would be so cool to hear Ron play this.
Yes.
It would be cool to hear Joe, but not so cool.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. I'm just balancing.
Yeah.
Is it so or just regular cool?
Yeah.
But actually, I don't like changing the rhythm sections either. And actually, you held up the CD of that. They even marked it incorrectly, as you said.
Yeah.
And then I just got, people have been complaining to me about it. And then I just saw a review where the whole focus of the review is that it's like, this is not, they're like, I listened very closely to see if there are two bass players on every track. But if there were, why would they have listed it this way?
Yes.
What's happening? Which is, it's just terrible. But that's what it is.
On my Patreon, I started basically a blindfold test post with this. So there was one who got it, where Ron was playing and because I think, of course, it's a bad typo, but it's also a great opportunity for deep listening.
Yeah,
where?
Well, that's what I was, always coming up with the educational component.
Sure.
Yeah, that's funny. But the only reason we did it this way is because that's kind of what we did on the first one, and it ended up being cool to involve like a younger bass player and then like the master bass player kind of thing, and that happened by accident too. Like the first one we did a day with Christian and Eric Harlan, and then Josh was there, and we did the whole album, and it was done. And then the next day we went to Japan with Eric's Voyager band, and we played like 4 nights in Tokyo. And one of the nights we went to we went to a jam session, but just me, Harish, and Eric went. And when we got there, they were like, "Oh, would you guys play?" So the three of us played, and we just played a tune. And I was like, I want this on there too, because this is very different than what we recorded. So then when we got back, we were playing at the Standard in New York, like the next week. So we had one day in between, and we just booked a day and went in and recorded with that trio. And then luckily, in terms of like organizing it, it came up as like, okay, this is the trio, and then these are the guests. So it kind of made made sense out of the 2 rhythm section thing. But
yeah,
I don't even like albums that have multiple rhythm sections. Growing up, like, it used to be a big turnoff for me. I would look at it and be like, oh,
yeah,
I'm gonna get something else, put it back,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So, and here I am, stuck in it.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting, and I love the contrast also, and I love how both guys play with you. For Fall, I think that was such a cool idea to give Ron some solo space on it. I mean, a lot of solo space on it.
A lot,
because he didn't get so much in the 5 years that he played with Miles.
Yeah,
he didn't get so much of that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear his perspective on the song that he has played for. He didn't play that a lot, but I mean, he has played a long time ago.
Yeah, there was a lot of him talking in between takes, which was pretty cool, that I kind of wanted to leave in there, but then I didn't know if it would be too many things, and then I was like, well, which ones do I choose? So we ended up not using any of it, but like there was one at the end where when we were holding the last note, he kept kind of oscillating between these 2 notes, and then it was just like a bend, and it went on, I would say, maybe 45 seconds. There was like no sound happening, but he was still doing it.
Yeah.
And then when he finally stopped, we all breathed, and he's like, now that's some Wayne Shorter, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it meant a lot to him to play it. It wasn't, like you said, it was a lot of solo space though. I thought he was going to go through it maybe like 3 or 4 times, and it just kept going. And it's like, one of the things, going back to where we started with double lip embouchure, for me, practicing long tones is like a killer. And that melody is like if he had gone one more time, I probably would have passed out. Because it was so slow, and we were doing it, and I didn't have in my head, like when you're running and I'm going to stop in 10 minutes, you can do it. If you just are running and you don't know when you have to stop, it's like unbearable. Yeah. I was there.
Did you tell him?
Spit dripping. No, of course not. And hopefully he doesn't hear this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fall is such an interesting tune, right? I mean, it's such a special tune.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I was very happy to see Escapade and hear Escapade on the record. I love that song.
Oh man, yeah, it's a rare one, right? A lot of people don't play that one. Yeah.
Yes.
We started playing it a lot, and now we've been playing it like straight instead of swung, and it like took on this whole other thing, which has been pretty cool. And I wish we had come to that sooner and recorded it that way. It's like a much more interesting version.
So but you keep all the triplets.
It becomes less, yes, they're there, but they're not as defined. Like it becomes a lot freer in terms of the phrasing than it feels the other way. But it still has the same structure. Just changing it from swung to straight, to me at least, it makes it feel like a whole different thing. Slower too. It's interesting. But I agree. I love that tune.
Yeah. Kenny Dorham's writing is just so special.
Yeah. I think I always love, I don't know what you think about it, but like he was, like when I started writing, I think I was way too old to start writing. I was like literally when I was doing my first album, that's like the first music that I ever wrote, which was, I'd been playing for like whatever, since 7. So that's like 23, almost 20 years of playing, and then like almost a year of writing. So it's like I just always assumed that like, you just sit down and write some stuff, not realizing that it was like its own whole thing. I forgot why I was saying this as I laugh about my
Yeah, the difference in the amount of years that
KD.
you have under your belt and
Yeah.
KD, yeah.
So like with he and Horace Silver and some of the people that I listened to forever, just starting to realize how all of their compositions are less of just kind of like with repeats, and it's more like there are sections and there are interludes and there's an ending and a coda and all that.
Yeah.
It's all like written, and starting to think about why I had been drawn to those things without even realizing how rare that kind of stuff was. Duke Pearson, like all those people that wrote stuff that had all the extra stuff in it. And that was one of the things that I really didn't realize at the time, but I was really drawn to. So to your point, KD is like an incredible writer.
What's another favorite of yours when you think of him?
Well, anything on the Joe Henderson stuff, that was kind of the starting point for me was that those records. So like I loved everything on In and Out. So he what's that one with in C minor? Yes, exactly. Well, let me see. I am sitting at my computer.
Go ahead.
Let me look it up. What can I find here? Short story. There you go. Short story. Exactly. Yeah. But like all those tunes, Una Mas even, like that one doesn't have all this stuff. But it's just like they all have, to me, they have like a character that reminds me of kind of like Monk tunes, which are the other, like anything Monk is going to be fun to play because it has so much built into it. You just kind of have to, stay with it. And I feel like KD has a lot of that in his writing. Beautiful.
Yeah. A year ago, I kind of heard Dorham's Epitaph for the first time, or noticed it, that super, super short song.
Yeah.
But how much is in that short thing? Like there's no interlude or anything. I mean, later on he wrote like a bigger thing out of it, but the first version of that is like super short, but so so rich.
Yeah. Yep. That's genius, man. Truly.
That second song on your new album, Circus. Where do I know this from? I know this from somewhere.
It's on just the one called Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. It's on that one. But it also was, Roy Hargrove played it, and there was like a video of him playing it. I don't want to say the wrong festival, so I don't remember. It was there, and they took it down. It's about to be released as an album now. But where he plays on that intro for like 5 minutes or something, it's ridiculous.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Oh,
they
great.
phrased the melody so interesting too. It's pretty awesome. But it's on that Art Blakey record. That's kind of the main one that I know it from.
Yeah, that's probably where I know it from too.
That's one that I've realized that I can't really play too much. I don't know what it is. I like E flat, but that one is tricky.
There's this one video on YouTube that I keep returning to, and it has been there for a long time, and it's Terence Blanchard teaching the Monk Institute band.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys were working on finding like a personal approach, a different kind of groove for four. And it was just so beautiful to see, I mean, of course, Terence teach, but also see you guys there as students and taking in what he has to say and dealing with it. So I wanna get into maybe at first what you remember of. Do you know this video, that it exists?
I know that it exists. I don't know what it was really made for. I don't know what the bigger part of it was, and I've never seen it on YouTube. So it's interesting that you have seen it there.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite places on YouTube. Like I every couple of years I go back to it, and it's like such a great masterclass in how he's teaching and how he's like showing the rhythm section about their responsibility of not just doing all kinds of stuff in every moment, like introducing a new thing every moment, but keeping a steady thing happening so the soloist can build on top of that and be inspired by that, and then you change it up for the next soloist. That I think guys were working on that.
Yeah, that time, or just I guess an extension of that, and then getting to play in his band for a bit, it was pretty transformative for me, because it, like we were talking about articulation and doing our first records and not really hearing those kind of things come across in our playing because we're focused on something else. And I think at the time when I was in that, it was really like, you reach this thing where you, by all accounts, you can play, like you understand, you have music, you can do this, you can do that, but like it's not really like coming together in a way that's for lack of a better word, like it's not coming together as mature or whatever. And it's because you kind of are thinking about yourself when you're playing, and like, here's what I'm hearing against that thing, here's what I think, that kind of approach, rather than listening and being a part of the ensemble and not having an agenda when you play, and being okay with sounding bad. Like if it kind of, you're trying to do something and it doesn't work, you're trying to play an intro with the line from Little Melonae and it doesn't work, it's not like you just get sad about it and then don't play you keep going, and then you try, but if it doesn't work, you make a note and get back to it. But exactly what you're talking about, like I'm sure he told you, or maybe does he talk about that "if I could, I would" in that video?
If I could, I would. Go ahead and tell the story. Maybe then I can remember.
Okay, he has a song called "If I Could, I Would," and it's like a concept that his teacher Roger Dickerson in New Orleans taught him, and actually Kendrick is taking composition lessons from him now, so he's still around. But like the idea being that everything that you write comes from the initial idea, whatever it is. So he uses that sentence, "If I could, I would." What other sentences can you come up with from those words, right? I could if I would. Could I? I could. I could. I could. Like you're saying the same thing with multiple inflections, and then using that in a musical sense. So like thinking about that as you play, repeating something, but without making it just a repetition, not just reacting to something in the mirror, like you're kind of coming up with the extension of that, but really sticking with it. And that time around then, really working with him, got me thinking about how important an idea like that or an approach like that is towards actually improvising. Because I did kind of have that feeling of like, when I know a song, I'm kind of playing a version of the same solo every time. Like there are moments where I'm doing stuff that I'm not planning, but like it's kind of going to the same thing every time. And then this was like, shit, if I do this, I'll never play that solo again. Actually, I'll always think of something different. And then it started getting me in tune with like, well, what is this song about? Oh, what is the part that I like in this song? How can I use that? Oh, why am I only thinking of the melody? What's happening with the bass movement? Can I just use that as a starting point? Like just looking for all the stuff that's in there. And then, it leads to writing something like Seesaw, where it's just the same thing over and over and over. Really stick with it. But I would like to see that video, because
I'll send it to you.
Okay, please do. Yeah. He did a record like around, like just before that, in the maybe late 90s or maybe early 2000s, called Wandering Moon. I don't know if you know that one. And
with Dave?
Exactly. Dave and Blanchard is on it. Sextet, and all of those songs are exactly that concept, and that he even has a song on there called if I could, I would.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool stuff that represents that time also for me as kind of like it felt like the last piece of like that solidified a lot of things that I was kind of thinking about and working on towards just having a way to move forward and play and try to be creative rather than just like constantly be looking for more stuff to play. It's like actually less and do more with that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Because that is advice that helps you on so many levels, as you said, like not just improvisation, but also composition, and thinking about musical settings.
Yep, everything. Helps with finances,
What are other moments with Terence that you think back to, maybe on the road or on stage even, things that he said to you that you still think back to, like pieces of advice?
I mean, I think he was one of the first people. Like, I remember there was one concert we were playing somewhere, and we had done maybe, well, I guess two things. One, before I joined his band, I had a couple opportunities when I was still in college to sub in his band. Because his saxophone player, Bryce Winston, had to miss, and it was 2 times for the birth of 2 of his kids. And I was able to do those 2 concerts. And the first time I learned all this music, I went and I had all his records. I kind of already knew all of it. And then I showed up and was like ready to play. And he's like, "Oh, you learned that? No, we're just going to play. Do you know the Sorcerer? We're going to play that and these things." And it was like that kind of thing. And then the next time, and this was a big learning experience for me. And this is like before the days of YouTube and all like slow internet, all that kind of stuff. He was about to release an album and he FedExed it to me. And it was, so let's say the gig was on a Saturday and I was supposed to fly out on Friday. He FedExed it on like Tuesday. And I was supposed to learn all the music from whatever he was sending. No charts or anything. So the FedEx came and I wasn't home. I was in school. I was in a class, and then I got home and there was one of those stickers like, "We missed you." And I was like, "No, I have to have this like now."
Yeah.
So I went down. I went to a couple places and was able to get the package. I got home late, just start listening to it and just start kind of writing out notes about it, just trying to get familiar with it. Then the next day, getting a horn out, getting more specific. But I'm just working mainly on the melody and then the solo form, trying to figure out exactly what it is. Okay, I think I mostly have this. I'll ask this question, jotting it down, but really making notes on all of it. So I get to, I have a day basically to do that. Then I get to the gig and we're at sound check and he's like, "All right, which ones do you want to try?" I was like, "Can we play all of them?" And he's like, "Well, we could try most of them just to play through them." So we start doing it, and he came over. He's like, "I see. I like that you did this work and you got it done. That means a lot." And then we were hanging and he was very positive, all this stuff. We get to the gig and we're playing, and then the solos are going fine, all this stuff, and then we're taking the melody out. And that's when I start to realize that this is like in a different key now. And now there's also another section, and I like just because of time, I didn't get to that part of any of the songs. So that was pretty funny. And then afterwards he was laughing because he's like, "Yeah, you didn't check out the whole track, did you?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, well." I had like one day to do this, so I did what I could. But so that was cool. That was a learning experience to like actually get through it. And he saw that I was like committed to doing it, even though I kind of didn't have 100% on it. And then the other thing was, like when we were playing, I feel like we had just started playing new music, and it was just a lot of music and a lot of pages of stuff. And he, like we did the recording, and that was kind of the only time we had played it. And then we went to Europe, and then we did one gig, and I was like using the music to kind of play through it. And then the next one, right as we're walking on, he took the music and was like, leave it. And then it was just like, okay, here we go. So some of it I was on it and some of it I was like trying to find it and all that. But within that one gig, he was okay with it not being exactly correct, but the intent was there, so it kind of showed me a little bit about that, like what's important in a concert, what's important in a band. Is it like to be right all the time, to be correct, and then sit up there and be tethered to this stuff, to the sheet music for longer than you need to, or just play and figure out if you don't have the exact part, figure out something else that makes it work. It doesn't have to just be what's on the record, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
A little loose.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, what he expected of you. If he knew that you would receive that FedEx so late.
Yeah.
Like, what actually was his expectation of how well you would be prepared?
Well, I mean, his expectation was that I had it all. but the reality was what he got.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. Because I'm not also like super fast, or at least at the time I was not super fast with learning it. And at that time there were a bunch of like Parks tunes on the record. So it's like, like, here we go, 30 minutes in, I got to keep the time signature. You know what I mean? So it was slow going at that point. But yeah, it's true. What was he expecting? How could he?
Let's ask him. Terence. Yeah.
Terence, what's your memory of that? And he's gonna be like, yeah, I remember Cat didn't learn the tunes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But made it through.
Today I watched a video of you with Herbie playing Footprints and Ambrose.
Oh, yeah.
And Ben Williams.
Yeah.
And a player on cajon.
Mm-hmm.
And so how does it feel to play that song with Herbie? How did it feel in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those surreal things. But it's also, every time I've gotten to play with Herbie, it's always been one of those, like you're playing Watermelon Man with Herbie, or you're playing Cantaloupe Island with Herbie, or Maiden Voyage. It's like, why is this happening? So it's always pretty cool. And I also think, I'm always trying to come from a place of listening, but then when it's with him, and especially like on those songs, then I feel like I fall back even further into the listening thing, where I'm just like watching it happen.
Yeah.
And then like maybe playing too much, but I want to listen, but then I know that you kind of have to put something out. Yeah, it's like a weird thing where I don't feel nervous, but I feel like I want so many things out of those experiences, and then I'm trying to get it all at once. So, like I listened to that thing because it just was reposted because of the International Jazz Day thing that's coming up, right? And I was like, why am I playing so much in this? But then he's playing a lot too, and he makes it cool. You know what I mean? And that's the takeaway always. Whatever you do with him is going to be cool because he'll
take care of it.
Exactly. Yeah. You throw anything in the pot and he will give you a Michelin star meal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is a conversation with Herbie that you think back to often?
It's not a musical one. He once convinced Ambrose and I, which we drank. We were in Vietnam, and we were on the Mekong Delta in a boat, and we got out at this little stop, and they had like little shops and stuff, and there was a bottle of like this weird liquid, and it had a snake in it, had birds in it, scorpions, all kind of stuff. And I was just kind of like looking through the market with Ambrose. We're just kind of walking, and we kind of stopped, and we're like, dude, what is happening? We're just looking at this thing, and the guy at the shop, he's like, you take a shot of this water, and it's for virility. And we were like, no, thank you. And then we turn around to walk away, and Herbie's standing right behind us, and he's got his camera. He's like, come on, guys. Come on, time to take the shot. Come on, okay, come on, guys. And then he like starts filming, and then we like look at each other like, okay. And then we both did. I don't know why, because I'm terrified of everything that's in that jar, and we did it, and who knows why. But afterwards, he was like, I can't believe you guys did that. And then he was just telling us about other stuff that he had done that was stupid and, all that kind of stuff. It was kind of a funny conversation, but definitely a memorable moment. I still have a weird picture of me and Ambrose. We have the thing, but we're both looking at each other to make sure that the other one's actually going to drink it. And then Herbie's behind us with the camera. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you ever played with him?
With Herbie?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Because there are a lot of those 20 fingers situations where people are kind of
well, sure, yeah. No. I mean, I'd love to, but I mean, no. I have talked to him a couple of times after his concert, and taking a photo with him, and tried lots of times to get him on the podcast also, with no luck.
Yeah.
But he's my guy. He's my hero.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it'll happen. If I run into him, I will try and, hey, here, just look into this phone for 2 hours, and then you'll be on the other side of it. It'll be.
I
like
would drink
sneak.
anything.
You drink anything? That'll be the way in. That'll be the way in.
Tell him that.
Remember how you made us drink that thing? This guy will drink anything.
He can watch me drink anything for 2 hours.
There you go.
That'll be the interview. When did you learn I Should Care?
I don't know. That's a great question, because I feel like that is a song that I don't know that I ever sat down and learned. But that one, there are certain songs that you just know, and because they make a lot of sense, maybe with how you think about harmony or how you construct shapes and all that. That's one of those where it just, and even having it on the recording was an afterthought. It was just like,
interesting.
Yeah, pretty random. And I don't even know if I play the melody right, actually, which was a big, that's like the one thing I was nervous about with most of the standards. It's like making sure that I have the correct melodies for everything. And that one, maybe not.
It's a weird feeling in the beginning, like the very first notes. I think the melody is correct. I think everything is correct, but it's like the way that Ron is. I don't think he's playing. I don't know what he's playing exactly in the moment right now, but I remember listening to your melody and his notes and that relationship, and it's like, it's a moment where I think he goes down from somewhere.
Yeah.
Instead of starting on the 2,
Yes.
And always when I listen to that track, I'm like, are we in which key? Like, what are we doing? And then it makes total sense of, I kind of arrive in the key that it is in.
Yeah.
In bar 3 or something.
Yeah. Yeah. We had that feeling. So the very first thing that we recorded that day when Ron was there was Invitation. And we counted it off, and I think we all started at the same spot, and within 2 beats I was lost, and I looked over at Kendrick, and he was looking at me, like we both were like, wait, where are we? And it was something that Ron was doing, and it was both a harmonic thing and a rhythmic thing that was not in any ways like symmetrical, but it was like, I was just like, oh my God, if the whole thing is like this, I'm gonna I have to really I gotta lock in. And I'm thinking about all this like while I'm trying to play the melody. And then I
Yeah.
was just like, all right, I think this is the bridge. And boom. And then I kind of play it and it's in the right
Yeah.
spot and we all kind of landed there. But I feel like it was lucky in a way that, for me at least, I think Kendrick was probably more on it. But afterwards, we kind of went to go listen to the sounds and all that. And I kind of talked to him on the side. I was like, yo, were you? He was like, man, from the first note, I was lost. And then I kind of figured out where we were kind of thing. But after that, I didn't have that feeling again. And I've listened back to that thing and it doesn't, it is how I remember it. There's something in there that is just so slippery that but he just does it from the first note. Almost like he was testing just to see what we could.
What you have on your headphones?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But he had a lot of those kind of things. Yeah, he's thinking, man. He got a lot going on. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What other things did you notice? What do you think is important to him in the studio?
Well, for this in particular, he asked me for lead sheets for every song, and he knows all of them, but he wanted to make sure that we were approaching it from the same set of chord changes. Mm-hmm. So, I had to come up with lead sheets for songs, and then I wrote some of them out, and some of them were pretty just like a outline of generally what it was. And he would play exactly what was there, and then he would kind of stop. He calls me Mr. Smith #3. He's like, Mr. Smith #3, I could do it like this, but maybe there's something a little more interesting that I could do. How's that sound? That kind of thing. I'm like, man, you asked for these changes. I don't want you to play any of that. Play whatever you feel, And so he would remind me a lot. He's like, hey, don't just play, listen to kind of where I'm going, and I can lead you. If you follow me, I can get you to something else, all that kind of stuff. So it means listening more, playing with headphones. It's harder to hear it the same way than if you're just in the room. So totally. There are certainly things that I'm not 100% on, but trying to be there with him. Sometimes it was tricky because he would change stuff under the melody, where the melody note is now wrong. So you would hear it and then move a little bit down or up to make it adjust. But it's just that exploratory feeling, so that all of it is negotiable, So he definitely had that the whole time. He would make suggestions about tempos. Like, for instance, on that one you mentioned, I Should Care, when we finished it, he's like, let's do another version, but at the tempo that song lives at. He's like, you're approaching that I Got Rhythm tempo with this. So we got to do it slower, which we did. We do another take that was a bit slower. And it probably is more in line with the song. So it just that I liked the way that one came out. And I had a feeling about doing it at a faster tempo. But I also understand when you have a different relationship with the music, where it's like, no, it doesn't get played at that tempo. Like for me, it would be like if we played Seesaw as a ballad. Yeah. Like it's not going to work for me. But maybe somebody can do it and make it cool. I don't know what they could do to make it cool, but perhaps they'll find a way.
I think it sounds nice slow, I have to say.
Really?
Because, that's the way I played it when I was trying to learn it, just super slow, and I think it sounds nice.
Oh, man. Okay. Because we did 2 takes of it for the recording, and the one that I wanted to use, but it didn't have the right energy, was really fast. And that's the one that I felt better about, which will be a recurring theme with me. When I'm nervous or uncomfortable with something, speeding it up fixes it.
Yeah.
It doesn't, but it does. Yeah. Yeah.
I sometimes have trouble writing down that I love to transcribe tunes, like Escapade. Also, I made a sheet for that. But writing down "I should care" scares me somehow to pin it down somewhere. Exactly what Ron Carter asked of you, that would scare me somehow. I don't know why, but maybe I guess because I love having that negotiation thing happening at all times with
Yes.
the bassist and everybody else. Like, well, let's see which changes we're going to play in the next round, you know?
Right.
And for some people, if you write it down, okay, I should care D minor, G7, you know, and you know, and for some people, you're going to hear that every time, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know how you feel about that, writing down standards.
I feel the same way that you do. I think when you see it that way, you play it that way. And that's just kind of the logic. It's not until you like really know it or know it away from that where you can use your ears and really hear what's happening. And I think that was the thing that made the request. I got why he wanted it. But also it changes everything. And you know, I've learned that over the years. Like, don't write anything down that you're not 100% wanting to happen on any music. Because if you write it there, somebody, if they check it out and learn it that way, it's now the song to them that way, you know? And it's hard to get away from it. So
hard to shake that.
Yeah, very hard.
I think also what scares me with writing down a version of a standard is that like also the fear of, am I correct? Do I know?
Yes.
Do I really know?
Do I know this song that I've played 1,000 times? No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the funny thing about all this. Like, the amount of time that I spent learning different versions of melodies and being like, well, which one do I trust more? Let me see if I can find 3 people that play it this way. And then it's like, it's different on the head in than it is on the head out, and all these things just being accurate because it feels like there's so much weight. You know, all the young musicians that listen to this, they need to be hearing the right melody so that when they learn, you know, like as if that's really kind of the thing. But then every now and then you hear, like with the Benny Golson tune or something, like with Stablemates, how everybody plays the bridge melody wrong and everybody plays the first chord wrong, and that's not at all what he wanted. But then it's something else. And does that matter to everyone else, or does it just matter to the composer? And then does the composer really care, or do they just bring it up because it's not right? You know, I don't know where any of those things land. But to your point, it's you're always self-conscious when it comes to like music from the canon. Yeah, totally. Miles is always the safe bet. That's what everybody feels like they draw from. And then if you do anything other than that, it might be the correct one, but it sounds funny because it's not the Miles one, which everyone knows, you know?
Yeah, that's true. But Miles is like almost like Billie Holiday. You like rarely plays most of the melody notes, you know. Yeah,
it's
you
quite a conundrum.
Yeah, it's very interesting. What's the last thing that you've transcribed or took off a record?
Last thing that's transcribed.
It could also be like a phrase from somebody.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've done any really like fun transcription. I think most of the transcription I'm doing is when I'm learning music for something and somebody sends a recording or a MIDI file and the music, and then they're not the same. That I'm like learning the version from the recording. So that ends up being a lot of my transcription time. But there was something. I was writing out that tune, Nothing Like You Has Ever Been Seen Before, to Bob Durrell, which I never learned before. So that's kind of the last thing I was working on, and I feel like it's in a notebook here somewhere, and I stopped somewhere in the middle. It's much longer than I realized by just listening to it, but trying to really get inside all the details of that one. It's a great tune.
So you go to the Miles Gil Evans recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And
That's a good one.
and Wayne plays a cool solo, right?
He does.
Yeah.
He absolutely does. Yeah.
And it's a funny instrumentation.
Mm-hmm. Everything about it is weird.
Yeah.
It's
And also where it is, like on the record. Like why is it on Sorcerer?
yeah. It's funny because like, and I feel like I've always been this way. Like whenever I listened to that album, that was something that I always skipped. And but then hearing the song in another context, and then being like, wait a minute, what song is that? And then somebody is like, oh yeah, it's on Sorcerer. And I'm like, really? It is? And then going back and listening and being like, oh, wow. You know, like after all these years, now I'm finally ready for it, you know?
Yeah. I think Kevin Hayes has a great version of that.
He does.
I forgot on which record it is, but I think at least that's what I have in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been even like, imagine this would be on Bitches Brew. It could have been weirder.
It could have been weirder. Yeah, it's true. It's just so funny to me because those records with that quintet have like such a vibe and like that thing to it. And like, I always thought, because at the time, I think we're about the same age. So like when we were buying CDs, it was like that time where they were just throwing stuff on records. Like here's this bonus track, a remaster, and here's this other thing that nobody from the record plays on, but the leader's on it, you know, like that kind of thing. So I always kind of just assumed that's what was happening with that. And not until later on did I realize, no, that was really there. Mm-hmm. It was a real thing. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like that Lush Life. Do you know that one? The train version of Lush Life. It's like 10 minutes long. And
the trio one, or the from the where they also play I Love You.
Exactly.
And I Hear Rhapsody from that record.
Exactly. And then at the end of it, is it Donald Byrd? Or that like, there's like a random trumpet solo at the end of it, who he doesn't play anything else on the record. All that kind of stuff where it's just surprising, and it just, you know, stuff that you hear on records that you can't really figure out why or how it became a part of it, but it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we have to be more daring and, you know, try to have a song like that is so out of place on our records that we think about, you know, you make notebooks for your record, you know.
Yeah. I think so, man. I do feel like that's one of like the things that we all fall into, is like every thing is a project that becomes part of like a tour and a promote, you know, it's like part of your career in a way that it didn't used to have to be. And it was just like, you got an idea, just put it on there. And and I do feel like now when people do stuff like that, it's always cool. It just never is at the front of mind when you're sitting there trying to write all the music and get everything together. It always feels, But that's, I mean, who knows? I guess that's, you have to be creative and daring, like you said, to do it. And I am neither. So maybe now that we're talking about it, I'll get that on the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just reading an interview of yours, and you were talking about Juju and how it somehow was a record that you didn't connect with when you were a teenager starting out in this music. And then you revisited it later on, and then you realized what it is. And like, it was so funny because just like 2 weeks ago, I listened to Juju, and I hadn't listened to Juju in a long time. And for me, it was always like, yeah, sure, I like Juju, but it's, I mean, come on, it's not Speak No Evil, or it's not Soothsayer, or etc. You know, it's not that. It's not Atlantis.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was how I framed it in my mind. And 2 weeks ago, I was like, somehow I had a feeling like I came across the cover again somewhere. I don't know. I was like, I should listen to Juju. I went on a walk and listened to it. It's like, this is the greatest record. This
There's
is so.
a lot in
This
there.
is so. And the thing is that like, how I got it wrong was that because I finally could put my finger on it, was like I was always a little bit thrown off that Wayne was playing with Coltrane's quartet, more or less, in that time. And I was like, those guys, they want to play with Coltrane. That was still my teenage, that was my teenage dumb thought. Those guys, at the same time they play with Coltrane, they're just a session for them. That's not a band. That's not,
Yeah.
And then Wayne with his tunes, I don't know.
Yeah. That's amazing.
It's so weird. And at the same time, loving all the stuff that he has done, in the same period of time.
Yeah.
And now I listen to it as like, these tunes they are perfect. They're so great. And they're so inviting for the players to feel them out in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that I was with you.
You were with me. Yeah. You know what mine was just because he didn't sound like Branford on that song.
Yeah.
And that was enough. I heard about 8 bars and I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Too bad he couldn't play his own song.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, high school mind is wild.
I mean, yes, but also sometimes in different, maybe in a different kind of effect, but sometimes I still catch myself having thoughts like that. Mm-hmm. And it usually comes down to me having an expectation about a certain kind of music. Basically, you want to hear something else, but you're listening to that, So you want to listen to Branford, but you listen to Wayne, and then you're sad that it's not what you want to listen to.
Yes,
that's what it comes down to. Yeah. Even with all the experience, sometimes I catch myself, you just want to hear Herbie, right? And you're listening to whoever, and that person doesn't live up to that standard, what you think that is. But if you would start listening to what that person is actually suggesting and bringing, you would see all.
Isn't that something?
It's so yeah.
But it takes a long time to get over that, and maybe we never do. That's the fun part. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
That's true. What were your in the Monk Institute? Did Wayne teach the group as well?
He didn't do any teaching, but we did play a couple concerts with him. We went to India with him and played, like 5 or 6 concerts with him. And
wow.
Yeah, it was great. We played all those tunes. Trying to think, we played even some of the stuff that he wrote out. I remember he gave us Shere Khan the Tiger. I still have that.
Oh, wow.
Like all kind of different stuff. But the concerts, he only played soprano, which I was wishing he would bring the tenor for something, but it was in that moment where he was only soprano. But it was amazing. And he sounded just as good as he sounded playing with anybody, and he was playing with us. So it was pretty incredible. He found a way to still be himself despite it was pretty incredible. And then he and Herbie would play some duos too. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Did he give some advice, or did he say some things to the band?
Yeah, he talked to everybody about different things. I remember one of the things that, because he spoke in a way a lot of times that was a little cryptic, but I feel like he always was like surprisingly pretty straightforward with me. Like it just, that in itself was off, like it was like, wait, what do you mean practice this or whatever? But he would talk about like sound a little bit, and he's like, when you're playing, I still hear the saxophone in the way of your sound. So I'm hearing that first before I hear anything. And I like, of course, with all these things, you kind of are guessing what that means. But then I would start to hear, obviously with him, it doesn't, you can tell what instrument it is, but that's not what you hear. It's like its own thing. And I started to really think about what that meant. And then in terms of like, is it an equipment thing, which I've never been an equipment person. And I was just like, what is it about it? And then he would just talk about like leaning into the, like whatever the quirk is that you have, and then that will help you get to having a sound, I guess. But like playing through the instrument, like it was just very straightforward talk. There was no like beating around the bush with it. But that was the main thing that we talked about, was always sound. And I feel like that's the thing that I have grown the most in since that time. So I wish I could play with him now, like, and be like, hey man, where should I go from here? Like, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
Because I do feel that, and I feel like I've kind of, to be clear, to qualify this, and not that it needs to be qualified, I'm not saying it's on par with anything that he's doing, but like as far as like not having the saxophone be there, I feel like I'm starting to get to that space, like the way he was describing. But then I notice, like, if I play another saxophone that's not the one I always play, I don't have that. So it's something specific that I've kind of dialed in on this thing. So that would be what I would be curious about talking with him about. Like, what's the way to do it on any instrument? What is your feeling towards that? And I have guesses, but I would be curious to know what he would say.
What are your guesses?
Well, I think probably a lot of it has to do with not changing instruments, right? Like spending more time with something so that there's a control, the thing that doesn't change, and then you can adapt to that and start to push through it. I would guess that that's mainly the most thing, but who knows? Maybe there's some other genius thing that he would pass on. But he also said some funny stuff. Like, I remember one time I was standing on the side with Ambrose and somebody was playing and they were tapping their foot while he was playing, and he tapped us and he did that thing, like, he's like, you see his foot? And then we looked and he's like, that's why he sounds like that.
Yep.
Like little stuff like that.
Wow. Yeah. I've read somewhere that, I think in the Peter Erskine Weather Report book, where Joe Zawinul also told him like to not move in relation to the time or tap your foot or stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just wasted energy from his perspective. So maybe they were similar in that regard.
Yeah,
because he was never like, when you would see Wayne, he was never like, this group is really happening.
Yeah, solid. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's very true, very true. Yeah, and then it just made me remember a funny thing of Herbie with Ambrose. He wanted to play Watermelon Man with the two of us, and he just kind of said it. Like, we were standing there, he's like, you guys want to play Watermelon Man? Come on. So he starts the song off, and then me and Ambrose are standing there and like looking at each other like, how's this song go? Like, for the life of me, I couldn't think of like how it started or what happened. And Herbie's just playing the intro, and he keeps going, and he stops. He's like, what's going on? Everything okay? And we're like, yeah. And so he's like, okay. And he starts it again. And then like we're just looking at each other, and neither one of us has any clue what to play. And then he gets up, he's like, y'all figure it out. I'll be right back. And then he like walks off, and we're like, dude, how does this go? And then we're like trying to figure it out. It was so ridiculous. But yeah, that was a funny one.
So what happened? Did you end up playing it on the gig?
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah. We did. You figured it out.
Yes and no. Like, it was like the most cautious,
which version though?
Tiptoey, like the one with Dexter.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, just the original version, and it was like the most like. I was like, okay, I got that one. What happens? Like, and then the next part. like just like
Yeah.
being very afraid because sometimes those sixes and
The
sevens, you're
guessing
like,
game.
which one is it? And not really knowing it well enough to do it with him. Like
Yeah.
if it was any
Yeah.
like if you were playing piano, I would have taken
Yeah.
all the chances and tried to do
Sure,
it.
of
Yeah,
course.
you know, it would be cool, just not so cool.
Yeah.
And like with, but yeah, that was like pretty funny and pretty ridiculous. Funny now, but in the moment it was just like, dude, of all the songs that I'm ready to play, you know, Dolores, whatever you call anything,
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
you. Watermelon
Yeah.
Man, that's the one that,
Yeah.
you know.
He sensed that.
Yeah, he knew it. He knew. He knew.
And I read that you played with Roy Haynes.
Yes.
When was that and how was that?
When I first moved to New York, Marcus Strickland had been in his band, the Fountain of Youth band, and he was starting to get busy with Tane's band, I think, and he was starting to sub out or have to miss Roy's gigs because he'd been doing it for a number of years, and he was kind of moving on to something else. And Roy wanted somebody that was going to be in the band, so the bass player who was in the band, John Sullivan, recommended me, and I went to his house and played with him, like did a kind of an audition, and then started doing gigs with him. So I did it for about 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it like?
It was incredible. You know, like even in that first audition, John told me all the songs that were in their book. So I learned all those and then showed up to his house, and he had the cowboy hat and the whole, like it was the full experience. And
Yeah.
we were playing, and I was doing that thing where you like take liberties with all the melodies and, you know, kind of moving it around, displacing stuff. And then I remember he stopped and he's like, hey, look, that's not how the melody goes. He's like, the melody goes like this. If you are always changing it, that might be fun for you, but for the band and for me, whose band it is, I can't set up things. I'm not able to play the song in the way it's supposed to go. And he's like, so if you're always going to do that, then you're basically leaving the rest of us out in the wind. But it's really more about the whole band rather than you. And then I was like, yeah, it's very true. And I already knew that. And I don't know why I'm doing it. And I like even now, when I think about it, it's on the TWIO record, on the first tune, on
My Ideal.
My Ideal with Joe. We're at the end, and like I'm playing something that's so clear, like like I like hit at the melody or something, and then I move the note over by a beat, and Joe plays the downbeat, right, which we should be connected on it. And then I'm listening to it, I'm like, why do you do this? Why, like, what is wrong with you? Why do you have the need to always set something up and never follow through with it? Like, it's this weird thing. But I always think about it from that first day of playing with Roy. And we did a lot of cool gigs. I remember one of them, we played, the quartet played in Tribeca. And this Marcus Gilmore was still in high school, and he used to come around and set up Roy's drums. And he would do the sound checks and play just like Roy, which was insane. But we played one that was like a double bill, and the other band was Russell Malone and Henry Grimes. And it was right when Henry Grimes kind of reappeared.
Yeah.
And people had all the questions and all that. That was like a very interesting thing. A lot of people went just to see him, to see what's going on. I remember we
played.
Did they
interact? Henry Grimes and Roy Haynes?
Oh, yeah. And I don't know what the takeaway of that was, because it was one of those that started and then the door closed, you know? So I was in the other room with Russell hanging out, the comedian. And then we did one, actually the first time I got to play with Blanchard, we played in North Carolina, and we got there, and then Blanchard was there in the dressing room when we arrived, and it was at the sound check, and it was so funny just to see Roy get so happy to see someone. Like he was just
Wow.
like, oh, and they like ran and hugged for a minute. It was just like there were 5 people in the room, but like it was really just the 2 of them, and it was pretty cool to see. And then he asked him if he would play, and he was like, no, I just came to hang out. I don't even know if I can make it to the show. That's why I wanted to come to the sound check and make sure I saw you and all that. So then, whatever, we start the gig. It's in a nice little theater. I have, at that time I was still ignorant to sound, and I liked using monitors. So I had like a monitor and I had me in it, so I could hear me and the piano and the bass. Like if you stood where I was standing, it was like 50 times louder than what it needed to be, but that's where I was at the time. And I'm playing, we finish a song, and then Blanchard just walks on the stage from the side playing Mr. PC, and Roy lit up and just started playing, and he's got no mic and no nothing, and he's like 20 times louder than me with all my stuff. But we get to play a little bit, so it was fun. But it was incredible. And hearing the 2 of them together was really cool. But a lot of people came out to the concerts when Roy would play. It was a challenge for me because a lot of it was soprano, which I'm like terrible at.
Wow. You sound great on the introducing album. You play the soprano.
You're being very kind. My memory of that is it's like...
It sounds a little bit electric, though.
Yes, and that's the best part of it. The rest of it, when that's not there, it's just... I can't even believe I released that. But here we are. But I haven't played soprano like since then. I was practicing it all the time because a lot of his gig would be soprano. And then I ended up getting fired from the band when I moved to LA. Just because,
that was the reason?
Yeah. We had like a fall tour coming up with the band, and it was like in Europe, and he had a bunch of dates, and maybe a recording was on the books, all that kind of stuff. And I was moving to LA in the end of May of 2005. And I told his agent, for these next things, I'm just flying out of LAX, just letting you know for whenever it comes up. And he's like, does Roy know that? And I was like, well, I mentioned it to him, but he's like, you should call him and tell him that because he wants, a New York band. So we talked about it, and he's like, yeah, I don't want to have to fly anybody around. If I want to play in New York, I don't have to do a hotel. So if you're moving, that's going to be the end of this. And he's like, but who should I call? And I was like, oh, just from the end right into the what's next. So the last gig I did with him was like at the New Orleans Jazz Fest, and then he's like, well, I'll see you again, don't worry, but who should I call? Like that kind of thing. So I gave him a couple names, and actually Jaleel was one of them. Jaleel and Tim Warfield I thought would be cool for it at the time. And Jaleel did it like up until Roy passed. Yeah. And he was the perfect person for it. It was great. I saw him a couple times. It was very cool. But yeah, that was my time with him. Very memorable, for sure. Yeah.
Would he just call tunes, or would he bring sheets, or have somebody else bring sheets, or how did it work?
When I got into it, they already had like a repertoire that was specific to that version of the band. So he would set them up in a certain way so you knew what the song was. He'd play solos or whatever, but then there would be something that was kind of a cue. And sometimes while he was playing a solo, he would look over and hold the stick like a soprano so that I knew that I should have the soprano ready for whatever he was going to get ready. And then I was always just like, oh, man, here we go. More struggle. But yeah, there was like the list of tunes. He had like that tune, Bud Powell, the Chick Corea tune. Yeah. We would play Fee Fi Fo Fum, James, of course. Yeah. My Heart Belongs to Daddy. Question and Answer. Yeah. Green Chimneys was in there. What else?
Could you be like, hey, Roy, can we play I Want to Talk About You or something like that? Like, could you suggest songs and he would be open for that?
For the ballads, yeah. He
Yeah.
would, because you had a feature every set, and he
Right.
would, I mean, I guess I don't know how much I could have changed them. It was kind of like whatever we did the first or second time kind of ended up being the choices, one or the other.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that I probably could have tried more. I was just so nervous to, like push anything else. Like, yeah, this is going well. Let me not
Yeah.
mess with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Roy Haynes.
Yeah. Yeah. He would just say stuff in passing. Like, it's like, yeah, I remember we see a car on the way out from the airport or something. He's like, oh, yeah, I remember having a car like that, racing Coleman Hawkins down the West Side Highway. You'd be like, what? And then that would just be the end of it. Nothing else. Yeah.
But would you ask him about all that stuff also on the road?
Yeah. And some of it
Yeah.
he would kind of talk, and some of it he'd be like, oh, yeah, I don't really remember, So it just depended on, I think he did remember all of it. It was just if he felt like talking,
Yeah.
He was sharp for sure.
Wow. When you told that story of Branford and Roy and being so happy to see each other, I was thinking about, like, do I know a record where they play together? Do you know a record of them together?
I feel like the answer is yes, but maybe at the moment I'm not going to be able to pull this information up.
Because he's on none of the Branford records, right?
No, Ron is on one of them, but not Roy. There are a lot of different drummers there. Ralph Peterson, Louis Nash. Yeah, of course.
Tony,
but I don't think Roy's on any of it. But maybe he played in Roy's bands, but maybe not recorded. That's a good question. Very good question. Homework for me. Thank you, Pablo.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Let me write this down so I don't forget. What's next?
So next is, I want to get back to the topic of variation, because that was actually, now you kind of destroyed yourself a little bit while you talked about that and that Roy Haynes story, But I actually wanted to talk to you about it because that's also something that I really like about your playing. Because when do you get to a point where you really know a melody that you can play a variation, where you almost not play the melody, but this melody still comes across? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I once heard or read Fred Hirsch talk about Ahmad Jamal, and that's the way that he phrased it is still on my mind always when I listen to Ahmad Jamal, where he kind of said, like, you can listen to Ahmad Jamal, not play the melody, leave out the melody, but you still hear the notes from the way that he plays what's left, basically, or the variation of it.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like the songs that we were talking about, like the ones where you can play them over and over and feel like you have something to play on them. I feel like those are the melodies where you don't have to play them, but it's like embedded in what you play. Just like if you are playing changes but not playing any of them, your ability to play them provides some kind of logic that still allows it to be heard in a certain way that that makes sense, as opposed to like if you're kind of doing it without that baseline knowledge, you know what I mean? But I think there are some that, like, for instance, you said playing I Want to Talk About You. I don't think I could ever really be free on that melody because the reference point is so specific and burned into my brain that, like, doing anything else from that feels like you're just avoiding that rather than trying to come up with another pathway. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I feel like monk tunes, even with the ones that have a lot of notes, you could still move them around or leave stuff out and it still feels right. certain standards. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to, I mean, some people play variations too early in their, not in their development, but in their relationship with the song.
Gotcha.
Like, don't play a variation when you don't know the melody yet, you know, and I am too often guilty of that. And it mainly comes down to insecurity. You kind of, if I just play half notes, will this be enough?
Yeah.
Or, you know, will I like that? Or, you know, but that's the song. Just play that and the song will, you know, take care of you, basically.
Yeah, but this is such a very mature approach to thinking
hard.
about music. But, you know, high school brain, the one that was worried about John Coltrane's band having to play with Wayne Shorter, you know, like, how could that person ever think that the melody is just enough? So I think that's the problem with all this, is because you change so much over time, but you start with the foundational stuff and you're trying to figure out a way to mess with it. And, you know, those things get embedded in certain songs and certain things. And then it's just like a lot of unlearning, you know. That's I've done a lot of unlearning in the last 10 years. I know that for sure, especially with standards and all that stuff, going back and kind of just starting from zero. And it's been helpful, but it's like a lot of time. And then I always wonder if it was really worth it. I'm not any better, but I feel like on those particular songs I am. But I never played them, so.
Yeah, that's funny. Like, also, like, a lot of my work, but like, is standards. But I don't really play standard, or don't get called for bands where you play standards all the time.
Yeah.
But I love that work or that research or that study, even if I don't have really an outlet so much. I mean, of course, when I teach, often it's about standards, and it's like we try things on standards, and also in rehearsals with my trio, and then we also did a standards record. But it's the majority of the things that I'm working on that's standards, but
not professionally.
But not performing it. But like I still love how that. I think it, in some form, it feeds into everything that I'm doing, even if it's then original music.
Yeah.
These are such great songs, you know.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we want to play them again and again.
Yeah. You know, the thing that I keep finding is that, like, so from doing this trio thing and then playing them live where you're only playing standards, it sometimes feels like it feels like we should throw some original music in this pot, because I feel like we're kind of swimming in the same waters over and over, and then trying to find songs that are outliers that are in that same thing. And like right now I'm working on some music that's like this all original stuff, and I'm playing over it, and I'm like, man, this is so much. I need to be done with standards. Like back to this. I need to write music. But then it's like the grass is always greener, because it's like when I'm only in that, then I'm like, I wish somebody would call me to play standards. Maybe I should do a trio record so I could go do more. You know, it's like that back and forth thing. So, but yeah, I feel the exact same. I think most people have the same experience, right? Everything you're working on, everything, especially if you're doing any teaching or working on a concept, it's like always related to all the things you are specifically.
Exactly. That poor song.
Yes, it really has taken a beating in the last 30 years or so. Yeah. Maybe longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about playing in the Bill Stewart trio. And specifically, I talked to Larry about this too. There are a couple of very, very short songs by Bill. And it's amazing how you guys find variation within that short form and can build, you know, huge solos and improvisations on a tune like 7.5, you know, which is so great. I mean, it really says something about the song that you can play it for forever and
Yeah.
still find something in it. But still, it's a challenge. So
Absolutely.
I want to know how it feels for you.
Well, I mean, for me, playing with those guys is like, you know, it's like one of those things. If I went back to high school, me, it's like like the Pat Metheny band and all that kind of stuff. That, like, why am I involved in this trio? You know what I mean? And sometimes I still think about it. I'm like, why? But I'm very happy to be in it. And, you know, just traveling with those guys and just listening to them talk. Like, I talk a lot, but in that scenario, I kind of don't say anything. I just listen to them and they're talking about records and they know, you know, if I know a good amount of music, they know like that times 20, and they're just like mentioning something in passing, and I'm just like writing it all down, and then on the train, and then I start listening to something, and Larry will mention the saxophone player. He's like, oh, it's only on this one Mingus record and you should check it out, blah, 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 this thing. And then I'm listening to it and he's like, yeah, that fourth song, when, you know, like around 5 minutes in, when he does this thing, and I'm like, how do you remember this? This is like a record I've never even heard of, and you're like down to the minute. So they know so much music, and I feel like playing with them, it's very clear that they can go obviously any direction, and it always feels good. So with that as the underpinning, it's like we could play 7.5 forever because it would feel good with them. I could be playing, which I am playing the same thing over and over, but it just like, it feels good. You know what I mean? And they're doing so much to make it. It's kind of like the Herbie thing. Like, you just throw some bullshit into the pot and then they turn it into something that's like fun to listen to. And I really feel like obviously they play together a lot, and they have like a thing, and they get along. It's like a fun hang with the three of them. Very funny. And you know, it's incredible. It's very fun. Because we saw you at Stuttgart, right? Was that where it was?
No, that was Munich.
Oh, it was in Munich. Okay.
Munich, and then you also played in Köln, and there I also saw you guys there.
In Köln. Okay. Was it? I can't remember the name of that place then. Okay. But yeah, it's like
Stadtgarten and Unterfahrt.
Oh, Unterfahrt.
That's the two shows where I saw you guys together, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think you might have also played Tincture.
Oh yeah.
That's super short. Like, that's even shorter than that.
Even shorter. Yeah. He has like those weird tunes.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard him play piano before?
I have, yeah, on a video. I think I saw that. He used to have that duo with Bill Carruthers, and then they switched for a couple of, moments. He
played it on the first record of this trio too. He played one song on piano, but he's, that's the thing. He'll sit down and play all this stuff. He knows all the harmony, even trio-wise. He's kind of like, I'm not here. I don't think that's the right relationship because it's not sounding the way that can you move to, like all that stuff. It's very intentional, and he's hearing it all. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool combination of people.
He played piano on Band Menu?
He did. There's one song on there. It's called...
Just listen to that. How come?
Modren. Modren. And he played piano on it. Or maybe he just did a solo version of it. Yeah.
I'll revisit it.
At least I remember him playing it. Maybe I'm lying here, but I feel like I remember playing all of it, playing piano. Yeah. But it's not easy, that song, whatever it was that he was playing, from my memory. But now I'll write that on my homework too. Double check my memory. I can see that it's starting to fade. Okay.
Yeah.
What's next, Pablo? You're really filling up my homework sheet here.
What's an album that you can't stop listening to at the moment?
Well, because I was doing a lot of listening to a lot of the songs that we were going to play for that record, I'm still in the residuals of kind of listening through those albums, and that Kenny Dorham record, Showboat, is still like in my mind.
Showboat.
Yeah, the one that has Jimmy Heath on it, where they do all the stuff from the musical and nobody else but me is on there. That was the one where I learned that tune from. But Jimmy Heath sounds so good on it, and I've just been
great,
kind of going through that over and over. And then I listen to a lot of, every week I'm kind of like checking out what's coming out. So I'm not obsessively listening to that the same way, but that's kind of the bulk of what I'm listening to, just to see what people are doing.
I'm sometimes overwhelmed with that. Like there was a time when I was trying to really be on top with what all my friends and all the people that I love are putting out, but I think I don't know. Right now I'm not so on it anymore. Maybe because I'm not on Instagram anymore and I don't see what everybody's putting out at the moment.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, I felt like overwhelmed with all of that. Like somebody puts something out, and I feel like, oh shit, it's out now. Now I should listen to it. As if it's not okay to
wait,
just
to let it go.
Wait half a year or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think something for me ever since, like when I moved to Los Angeles, that became very important to me to like still be connected to. Who are the people playing? What's the new thing? Who's on the record? What are they doing now? Because I'm not in it the same way.
Sure.
And that has stayed with me. So it's like, even if I'm only listening to it once, I'm still like checking out just to be, abreast of.
Like going on a concert, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Let me just check out who's doing what and not just to check out what it is, but just to see what their thing is. And then sometimes people recommend stuff like Josh Redmond mentioned something about Shy's record, and it's like, this is a 10 out of 10. So I was like, okay, I gotta spend some time checking this one out, and then seeing what he's listening to, and then how does it relate to what his last thing is and what his next thing is going to be. Is this like a specific direction he's thinking about, and all, like just connecting all those dots when you're not in the thick of it. I think it's always been fun for me, and I feel like that in a way it's part of the anti-aging. I know you use like various creams to keep yourself young. For me, it's just keeping abreast of the
well, if you're 73, you kind of have to do some things.
Gotta do something.
Thank you, Walter. I think that's a good place to stop.
That is the perfect place. Thank you, Pablo.
Thanks for listening to Pablo Held Investigates. This podcast is made possible through the support of my Patreon community. The show's producer is Sophia Will. The podcast jingle was composed and performed by me. The full version of the jingle is available at patreon.com/PabloHeld. Thanks for listening.